We're live.
We're live. Okay, before I call this meeting to order, we have 3 people here. I just want to let you know it's Christy Olson and Sue, and Officer Bond are here in attendance also. So I'd like to call this meeting to order, this council meeting. We have an agenda in front of us. Does anyone have any additions or deletions for the agenda? If not, we need a motion to accept the agenda. Councillor Fawn makes that motion. All in favor? You're good. We're still waiting for John. We're waiting for Councillor Harkin, I guess. Okay, delegations. We have 2 delegations. I just want to say before we give you the time, I had to do a delegation at the Committee of the Whole for the legislature yesterday. They gave me 5 minutes, and they had a little clock, and it went ding, 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 and they says, you're done. So, I wasn't done. I wasn't finished. I had to stop, but I was quite surprised. So we're giving you 10. That's what we do on our delegations.
We'll be fast. Who's
Okay,
going first?
so you're first.
Go ahead, Rob.
Go
Go ahead.
ahead.
Hey, go there to here.
Sure, go wherever you're comfortable.
Oh, good. You're good. Let's be quick. So this should, you've probably seen some of these slides you would have seen already from when Councillor Hagee, they were showing you guys this real quick, just a year end for the commission.
Sure.
So we'll go over real quick because you would have seen these. So that's 2019. Just want to show the difference. There's like approximately 567 reports for 2019. 2020, it jumped up to 803 or 804. Right. So the big increase. A lot of that's going to do with COVID, and then we're not sure how much was an anomaly because of everybody being home. But so far this year, we've started off steady again too. So just gives you, that's the overall stats for the commission, right? That's another. Okay. Violation count, that's just the violations that were written over the whole area, right? These are just the summary of just the main reports. We had site leads and animal complaints are always the most, and they see the COVID-19 was 74, right? Majority of those were, over there?
Yeah, just closer to the mic.
Here? Like be on TV. Been on there enough, trust me.
I didn't know how we feel.
Yeah, so, but again, the COVID-19 ones were higher. A lot of that was self-initiated. Really, there's only 17 that were actual requests from around. Right? The other ones were self-initiated when we were checking campsites and actually planning and actually providing food, water, and lodging for people at the campsites because nothing was done for them coming across the border when this first started. So we took it on our own initiative to make sure we can give them the proper what they need: food, water, and lodging. Mostly down south, like in Coots and Milk River.
So did the province, did they pay you for doing that?
Nope, that's why. So we started that at first, and then after about a month and a half into it, we said, okay, we've done our part. The province isn't providing anything for us, so that was the end of it. We were given the mandate to enforce it. We only enforced it if we were requested specifically to request it. So and then obviously the second time it came to us, so we're not enforcing this until if we have to, then we will, but of course we didn't. So everything was passed on back to HS or back to the RCMP.
Great.
It's
Funny how they don't want to include you in their
but they want
policing, but they want your help.
Yes. So we didn't. That was just the initial stuff back from March and April, right? And then early May, and that was it. After that, we never did anything more than that. There was, I think we submitted 1 report, right? So that was early this year, actually. That was passed on to HS. So the rest of it, just the highlight. This is the overall summary for everybody, for the whole commission area. So, and then just some of the quick highlights, which you already know. The commission was formed in May, right? We co-located with the Mounties, so we're now in their building there, which has worked really well, right? The kennel was finally got our own kennel back up and running, and that saved us lots of time and money from not running down to Carson and Lethbridge, so it's really paid itself off. Increased dog license compliance, obviously, and Warner joined the commission, right? And then, of course, we have the authority to carry the pepper ball for dogs, right? And animals, we finally have that authority, right? So that's really come a long way and helped us a lot more deal with animals. It's a lot safer now for us. I haven't been bit this year, so that's a good sign. So,
that's progress.
So the 1-2 Highway Authority, we have that. And then, of course, we assisted the town of Coaldale, and we took over animal control in Sterling, which ended up saving Sterling to $10,000 to $12,000. And the rest of it just again assisting the travelers coming back during the COVID. That was the initial part of the start of the pandemic. And then just again the rest of it just like training and stuff like that we did. So that's the revenue that was brought in last year for the commission there. So traffic fine revenue, kennel revenue, McGrath. We helped Coaldale out for a couple of weeks, so that's the revenue from Coaldale and Coots, and then and then that's the total revenue that was generated. Now, out of that, the traffic revenue, unfortunately, the province takes 40%, right? So that was what we got after they take their 40%, and then you always have about 10 to 20% of people that never pay. So the province gets their 40% cut. So that's on there. But here's your stats. So here's Raymond. So last year, 297 reports. Right? And then the violations, most of those will be bylaw violations, some traffic, but mostly all bylaw violations. Next one. And there's the highlights of Raymond. So animal complaints are always number one usually, and then unsightlies. Right? Those are the two main.
That's nice somehow in a small
Yes.
community to have animal complaints be number one
Yeah,
complaint.
that's right. And the rest are just it breaks it down, and I broke it down in much. So you see, there was only an increase of 11 reports from 2019 to 2020, right? However, when it comes down to the budget, so almost 37% of all reports are Raymond, and almost even with the budget. So, right? And the big one was bringing up the court order. Remember the court order cleanup for the Clark residents? That was one of the big highlights here, right? I think we went too fast here.
Sorry.
I'm trying to go fast. We don't
Must be getting
care.
close
That's
to
all
10
the commission ones. So we don't. That's just the stats for every other area. We don't care about that.
So
That's why I went fast.
When I went on that drive along with Officer Stacy,
Yeah.
I told her if there's anything that we can do to help speed up your process of when you're trying to have on these, like these
Yeah,
land
it's like-
cleanup, or anything
Yeah.
we can do to help you, just let us know. We
Well,
can change our bylaws to change things.
Which we did. Remember we got the 7 days now for repeat offenders. So that's going to make it a lot easier. These people that keep repeat offenders for cleanups. Now it's 7 days instead of 14 we had to give them. So that, and then so far anything comes up, then that's perfect for the bylaw. We have a couple things coming up, but that's we're gonna wait till things will settle down just for some suggestions we have what the bylaw is.
Okay,
So,
good.
but nothing too pressing. That's just a. Oh, so e-ticketing, of course, the province making us go into e-ticketing, which costs us. So far, it was $15,000 it cost us, and then now, of course, they changed their mind. Now they want a different way of doing it. So we're having issues with that. We have to spend all the money. They said, "What's e-ticketing?" Well, but their version of e-ticketing is not what the Sultan told us. So therefore, we end up spending some extra money with different printers, and they want bigger ones. We have different ones, and we're not the only ones. Edmonton Police has spent I don't know how many millions on it, so they're not happy either. So, but that is everything's going to basically violations are going to the wayside, and it's going to all become administrative penalties for traffic, and then eventually every provincial statute that's going to eventually fall into administrative penalties. That's their goal now for free up the court time. We moved over to Tabor Dispatch, which will result in a $30,000 savings per year. Right, this year it'll only be about a 10 to 15. Correct, just because there's hardware we had to buy and all that stuff. So, but instead of paying $45,000 a year for dispatch fees, we got that down to $15,000. So it's a big savings there.
Just as efficient?
Yeah, it's way better. We actually have computer access in our cars. So where we all we had was voice access before. So now it's in our cars. So we have maps, GPS, everything. So it's a lot safer and it's a lot more efficient. And then that's down the road of manning. Manning is always an issue, but we're addressing that down the road. So you got the different slide, eh?
What's that?
You got the different slide. So right here. I think it's gonna be really quick. Yep. So okay, you have the wrong slide. Where is it? Anyways, we want to be quick. We're just quickly there. That's the wrong slide. That's okay. We're going around every council. We're just giving them a quick little update of where the time goes. So an example is, on site, these are on average 4 to 5 hours. That's when one goes nice and smoothly. Obviously, the Clark residents, well, that was several hours, tens of 20 to 30 plus hours, right? So just want to let you know that they don't, when they go smoothly, they're nice, but an average dog complaint's a couple hours, right? Just for finding the dog, taking it back to the kennel, feeding them, getting them all registered. That's just on a nice, clear, easy one. They could go they can turn sideways and they meant several more hours than that, right? So obviously when it comes to a dog biting, dangerous dog act, that's 8 to 10 hours, right, on average, right? And then that doesn't include, and where the funding also doesn't include, remember, our reports, our court time, administrative time, pays for the vehicles, pays the commission, pays for uniforms. So the money just doesn't go to just to us, it goes to everything around the service, what it provides. So we're going around every council, just letting them know this is exactly where the hours where they go, right? And we're just giving them examples of where it goes, right? So, and then just for inventory and asset wise, there's actually approximately $275,000 in assets that the commission has from all that's your vehicles, equipment, and that's not a. And then if you want to replace a vehicle, each vehicle is roughly $70,000 to replace. So it shows where some of the funding goes, right? And of course, it's 3 peace officers, right? It's, you got 7-day coverage, and it's on call when we're not here. So, and that is it in a nutshell. Quickly, and that was almost 10 minutes, right?
You're a speed talker.
So I talked too fast.
Sorry. Oh, this is
So that's my part.
this is an outdated business plan. I
You don't want
apologize for that.
That's too long.
It's not much different though. So a lot of the same information in the 2020 as we do in the 2021. There's certain standards that actually continue from year to year for the peace officers and certain objectives that they have. And so the vision, the values, and the mission statement are all the same. And this whole document provides structure to everything that the peace officers do. And so this is something that we're sharing to all the participating municipalities and putting up on websites and trying to educate the public on what the program does and how it's structured. The big information, obviously there's a organizational structure. The meat and potatoes of the operations is in the objectives and the operating philosophy. 6 main objectives being municipal bylaw enforcement, agency collaboration, community education, provincial statutes enforcement, ongoing development, accountability, and economic sustainability. And that really drives everything that the peace officers do. Very important for the peace officers to be connected to the participating municipalities, to both the administrations, and work well with them, and also with the councils. It's always been an important operating philosophy for the peace officer service that they respond to the priorities of the participating municipalities above and beyond what priorities are set out in the business plan. So without taking too much more of your time, that's the business plan.
Quick question, is there a hierarchy in those 6 objectives? Are they listed in order of importance?
So, what I don't know if Abe's would talk about it next. What is basically when we already started with Raymond, the priority list. You set your priorities. They go to me, and that's what we follow there. The priority list, right?
Okay.
And we've got every council, and we want every council to bring that so they can. So there's accountability, and it's also trackable, right? That we can say, hey, we asked you to do this. What happened? This didn't happen. So.
And do you find similarities in those priorities in?
Yeah, it's unsightlies, animals. They want. Not enforcement, but just public losing it.
Education.
No, presence, public presence, seeing us out there, right? Visibility. So those seem to be a lot there, and then of course infrastructure is always for the county's infrastructure.
In response to your question though, Councillor Fromm, like if you look at these 2 objectives here, municipal bylaw enforcement and agency collaboration, they spend a lot more time with bylaw enforcement than they do with agency collaboration, right? So.
Bylaw enforcement is usually the number one.
Number one, yeah, okay.
The traffic enforcement just comes as we're traveling all over the area, then if we see something, we'll address it. We're not doing targeted traffic enforcement, as hey, we're just going up and doing laser, not unless that's specifically asked for. Like we did, remember monitoring the school, that was one of the priorities last year, about that one zone from 200 west over to 250. So if a municipality asks for target, then we'll target that area. Other than that, it's only what we see when we're driving around.
So a question, if you go to McGrath to help them.
Yeah.
If you write a ticket, who gets that revenue?
That one goes, well, no, that depends what it is. So if it's traffic, it comes back here. Because it comes back here. Traffic goes back to the commission. If it's a bylaw it would stay there with the exception if it goes to court, and then it goes to court, it comes back to the commission, because that's covering our court costs. So,
So when you go over there to help, you should be writing tickets like crazy.
they're,
Good plan.
there's, they pay an hourly.
How to win presidential.
That would, unfortunately, any court time would be billed back to them anyways for the hourly rate also, above and beyond that. So the violation pays for the lawyer fees, basically.
Okay.
But we do appreciate the opportunity to talk with council, and certainly always interested in getting feedback on how the service is working in Raymond. So please let us know anytime, as you regularly do with your updated priority list, but in other areas as well. We're happy to listen. So.
Yeah, so I'd love to do a drive along with you like I did. I meant to do it with you, and then
Yeah.
I couldn't. You were on holidays, and then you came back. I think.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was, it was something there, it was,
Yeah, I think that's a good way to do it too, just to discuss things.
they get to see exactly what's going on, right?
Does anyone else have any questions?
I just want to comment, I like the idea that, about putting that mission statement and everything on the websites.
Yeah, that's
It's gonna answer a lot of questions for the people, instead of trying to phone someone and ask. They just go to the website, it's gonna answer all their questions, or a lot of their questions, and also shows lots of transparency as well.
That's going out to all
So every
municipalities.
municipalities can have that on their homepage of their websites. And, so that's gonna help out a lot.
And also, I made up a commission members have this, but it's, they have a more detailed one. It's just a little handbook about kind of just a basic overview of us. So it's just for each town, that's the village. This goes over what our authorities are, what the actual peace officers can do, our business plans in here, our traffic safety plan, just a couple of, just sort of points of any information. Just helps you out if someone has a question, and we're not around to answer. Now, the commission member has a more detailed one, but that's just for each town and village, just getting that.
Mr. Curtis or is it Dave?
Yeah.
I know, that'll go to Curtis or yourself, whatever, it's for the council.
Okay. Thank you. Well, thanks for your report. Yeah, I mean, we're pretty happy with what you're doing. I know our residents, sometimes they're a little grumpy about you, but I think you're trying to do your job, and that's the important part.
And it's clinical plan, we educate, it's always first, everything's education at first, just like that's, even when you look at the insight, it's here, you have 14 days plus to do it, any issues, come talk to us, we'll extend it. But it's always based on education first, right, and all that, and warnings. So for all the violations that you see up there, well, there's been 3 times warnings issued, right?
Holy cow.
So every time I've read a violation, I give more warnings than I do violations, right? So I've always worked that way, and it's just how we work, right? So everything, that's the way that we operate.
So if they've been warned twice, they keep on doing it, then
Yeah, for sure.
it's coming to them.
Yeah, they deserve it. Okay.
That's it.
Well, thank you for coming.
Thanks, Al.
Appreciate you.
Great, thank you.
doing this. Well, you're out of here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So, just for you on camera, we've had 2
Every
other
time,
people come
every
in.
time.
Shiloh Woolsey, is that how you say your name?
No, Shaylee Smith, but
Shaylee Smith.
Paige is talking. Yeah.
Okay, Paige.
Paige
Oh, I know your last name, Paige.
Gazelle now,
Okay.
Robinson.
Okay, you're on Paige Robinson.
Yeah.
Anyway, she's gonna be talking. So the next delegation, so you weren't here when I talked about delegations. We usually only have you talk for 10 minutes. That's why he was trying to hurry.
Yeah, that's what I'm like,
Then we might have some questions for you. So
for sure. Yeah, sorry I'm late, I had to rush
that's
rush
fine.
over here from working.
That's
I
fine.
have a USB drive. Is that something done? Thank you. Should I sit, stand, mask on, mask off?
It's up to you about that.
Yeah,
You can
it
take
might
off
be
if you
easier
want.
for us to hear you with your mask on.
I'd be happy to.
I bet
I
you
think
would.
you're on camera. Is she on camera right there or just close
Should
to
I
her?
move? I don't know where the camera is.
That podium's fine, you won't be on camera, so.
Okay, just a minute.
Sure.
So this is Paige talking.
Hello, so the, it's just a PowerPoint, it's, I think called, Southwest Park. And you can just kind of, I'll maybe tell you, but you can just kind of periodically go to the next slide. It's just pictures of ideas of kind of what we as a committee have kind of had in mind for this, and I'll discuss that. So we saw the post on Facebook yesterday about parks and the budget, And what it looked like was that the park on the green strip is being replaced. So that's what it looked like. So I'm just going on that assumption.
It's enhanced.
Okay, enhanced. Okay, so I'm going to speak to that.
So, yeah, just to clarify, the park on the playground, the structure itself is not being replaced.
Yes.
It's just amenity improvements.
Okay, yeah, for now, is that the,
Yeah, there's no budget for it this year.
yeah, for this year, is the idea that maybe later on down the road, anything will happen to it?
Yeah, it is on the list of things, but council just has to jump.
Okay, for sure, yeah, that's what I'm going to discuss here. Okay. So our goal as a committee is to improve the park experience on the southwest green strip. We believe that the green strip is a beautiful, expansive area that would be the perfect location for a natural playground. We already have lots of traditional metal playgrounds, and we feel a natural playground would offer something new to the whole community. Natural playgrounds are a growing trend around the world. They are less structured than traditional playgrounds and utilize natural basic elements, often recycled, such as wood and stone, making them more cost-effective than traditional playgrounds. Because of its simplicity and numerous options, a natural playground can fit into most any budget. We could have a new slide. The science is pretty clear when it comes to children and possibly adults nowadays. I'm sure we've all heard it. They spend more time inside, more time on screens, they don't get enough exercise, anxiety has increased, stress has increased, self-esteem issues, obesity, poor concentration, behavioral problems, and this was all before COVID, which has now only exacerbated these problems. We feel our children are in need of special care and attention at this present time. So how can a natural playground help our children with the struggles they are facing today? So this is the Calgary-Haysboro Natural Playground. I've been to it, it's lovely. It offers just an entirely new experience. We can have a new slide. Regarding children in nature, research has shown that, quote, nature provides countless opportunities for discovery, creativity, problem solving, and STEM education. Interacting with natural environments allows children to learn by doing and experiment with ideas. In nature, children think, question, and make hypotheses, thereby developing inquisitive minds. And even for adults, research has shown that, quote, being in nature reduces anger, fear, and stress, and increases pleasant feelings. Exposure to nature not only makes you feel better emotionally, it contributes to your physical well-being, reducing blood pressure, heart rate, muscle tension, and the production of stress hormones. New slide. Regarding the importance of play for children, child experts have said play allows children to use their creativity while developing their imagination, dexterity, and physical, cognitive, and emotional strength. Play is important to healthy brain development. It is through play that children at a very early age engage and interact in the world around them. But not all play is created equal. Traditional playgrounds, in an effort to meet perceived modern safety standards, have become uninspired and derivative, resulting in rigid, structured play. Play is predominantly focused on gross motor play and leaves so many other aspects of play behind. Next slide, please. Natural playgrounds promote unstructured, outdoor play. Compared to traditional playgrounds, a natural playground invites creative and imaginative play. Children aren't told how to play, but decide for themselves. It is a space that is expansive and limitless in its possibilities. There are a wide range of benefits to natural playgrounds. They are inclusive and accessible to all ages and abilities. This includes toddlers and those with disabilities. We feel there is a tendency for these groups to be excluded from other facilities and social events. Natural playgrounds promote active play. They aid in the development of fine and gross motor skills. They foster a social environment and improve social skills. They incorporate nature. They inspire creativity, curiosity, and imagination. They promote cooperation and problem solving. Next slide, please. And even with supposed safety standards, traditional playgrounds are considered to be less safe than natural playgrounds. Adam Bienenstock is a designer of natural playgrounds which have met CSA standards. He had this to say regarding the safety of natural playgrounds. Quote, one of the first things clients ask about is safety. A common misconception implies that natural playgrounds cannot be designed to meet required safety standards. In fact, natural playgrounds provide challenging environments for children of all ages and sizes. where they learn important risk evaluation skills more effectively and safely than in traditional playgrounds. Interestingly, catastrophic injuries occur less frequently on natural features when compared to plastic, post, and platform playgrounds. Additionally, research has consistently shown that vandalism, aggressive behavior, and bullying rates are all reduced in direct proportion to the amount of tree canopy and access to nature that exists in a play space. Next slide, please. For years, we've been doing upper body gross motor as the pure focus of playgrounds, and it's not really working for us. We need full-on cognitive engagement during play. Injury rates will drop if their heads are engaged in play, end quote. We feel that the Southwest Park area would be the ideal location for a natural playground. Because it is tucked away and surrounded by trees, it feels secluded and peaceful, a perfect place within town for children to reconnect with nature, as well as adults. Next slide, please. The walking path connects the entire community to the green strip. A natural playground would offer something unique to our region. The green strip offers a fantastic opportunity for continued future expansion. Semi-regular new installments will keep the park fresh and exciting. Next slide, please. The proximity to Good Sam's would offer the residents an opportunity to better connect with nature and the community. Studies have shown that there are many positive benefits of seniors and youth interacting. The park could offer opportunity for community gardening. Let's have a new slide, please. The creation and maintaining of a natural park would provide many volunteer opportunities for community members and youth. Annual cleanups, tree planting, donations of money or supplies, etc. There are lots of builders, landscapers in general, handy people in town that could volunteer. Community competitive builds could be a way to engage people in this process. Whoever's park installment is judged to be the best would win, things along that line. Youth who are involved in helping with the park will increase their civic pride and responsibility. Next slide, please. School classes could utilize the park as a learning experience by having students help enhance the park in various ways. For example, shop classes could help to sand building materials, create new fixtures. There could be civic lessons about applying to town council for park additions, etc. The schools can utilize the area for field trips, nature studies, and outdoor classes. Organizations like the library and Parent Link Center can utilize the area and provide enriching experiences in natural setting. Next slide, please. Yoga, exercise, and other recreational activities could be enjoyed in the park. We hope that the benefits this park would provide to the whole community would result in enthusiastic response and a robust fundraising campaign. A community park made by the community for the community. We feel passionately about this project, and if approved, we'll work hard to see it done well. We hope you will support this endeavor, and we thank you for your time. We'd be happy to discuss further if you'd like to, or if you have any questions.
I'm sure we have some questions. Very good presentation.
Sure. Yeah, you can skip through. There's probably some more. We can just keep skipping through while we're going.
I'm not sure what happened to the presentation is different than what it looks like on here, but that's what we're
It works.
Okay.
So questions for you. Was this all that Calgary Park?
Oh, no, sorry, just the first one that said the Calgary one. That would be a very impressive park if it were.
Wouldn't it be?
Yeah.
I was quite surprised.
Yeah, there's also a natural park in Banff. It's done by the person I quoted here, Adam Bienenstock. I think he's based in Ontario, but he designs for all over Vancouver. As you would imagine, being as into nature as they are, they have a lot of these natural parks that they're starting to incorporate into schools and daycares and community playgrounds.
So do you have any pricing on what any of these?
Yeah, okay, so it's a little hard to get something for it because they are so unique. Each one is individual. A lot of it's recycled things, and a lot of places try to utilize the topography of the area. But I would say the low end that I was seeing was somewhere around 10,000 grand. And the high end was 150 to it can go as high as you want. And the thing about it is that it's not set in stone. It can be enhanced over time. You can add to it. It can grow. It doesn't need to. Even as it is now with the existing playground that's in the Southwest Park, that could stay there, and you would just bring in, incorporate other things. You can incorporate things from traditional playgrounds, teeter-totters, and different structures that make sense, the smaller things. It can grow from there.
So I've been to the one in Coaldale. Have you seen the one in Coaldale?
Do they have a natural playground?
They do.
I'll have to have a look at that.
Yes, apparently it's not.
Oh, is that where it is? I've been there, I didn't know what was combined. It's very interesting too. It's not as elaborate as some of these ones you just showed us.
Mhm.
I'm not sure what the cost was on that one, but it's something that I think we've talked about a little bit, but we haven't really delved into it very deeply.
Mhm.
But yeah, this is very interesting. And then you have a committee that's explained that to us?
Oh, I don't know if committee is the right word. I'm not not very up to snuff on
Yeah,
my
you have
civic
a group
duties, but Shaylee started a petition just in general to get the playground in that area enhanced, improved, or replaced, which we discussed some things along the line of that as well. We have some ideas about how the current structure could be enhanced a little bit to make it a little more conducive to the younger aged children, as well as, I don't know if it's very feasible, but that it could be relocated and then a natural playground would take its place. So we just kind of discussed that it's a playground that isn't totally accessible to everyone in regards to disabilities, ages, and it would be, beneficial to maybe have something new in that space because it's such a good space.
So this is more of an information delegation, just trying to let us be aware of what's out there that we could be
Yeah, sure, and that we would be happy to
help.
help. Yeah.
Okay, good. Does anyone else have any questions for Paige?
I would, like you're talking about the cost, and I think that all depends on how big of an area you have.
Oh, for sure.
So you know how big, and I hate to say I haven't been to that park very often, my kids have, I haven't.
Mhm.
But I can't remember, like, how much area is there? Like, how
That
big?
one area, it's not very big,
Yeah.
but I mean, I don't know if you have things earmarked for the rest of that,
There's
walkway area.
An alcove in the trees.
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
And
It's nicely
it's
treed.
beautiful
That's
because
nice.
it is,
Probably
there are
why
so
we
many
about
trees.
as long as
it's
this
nicely
room.
treated, it's got that little alcove, but I didn't know if there's anything besides that.
It's not a huge area, but it's a really nice area.
Yeah.
It would look so nice in a national park. What specifically was your petition question?
Petition question, Shaylee?
Well, just to say, like, there's a committee of people, like, we're willing to, like, do fundraising and, like, work with Hugh to, like, make something happen, so that you don't
That
necessarily
there's
have to-
interest.
So more of a statement of interest than a petition,
Yeah,
is that correct?
Sure.
Okay.
Just trying to get
Good.
people to sign up.
Well, even the whole, just to look at that one page you had where you had the logs that were all different. How simple would that be?
Yeah,
I know
tires.
several arborists, they could
Yeah,
get you some of those and
yeah, I've
you
been
could set them
I've been
there.
eyeing tree stumps
Yeah.
around town
You
and
could
maybe
set,
the town
you could set them there even at the park that's
as
there
it
right now.
exists now.
Can I
Yeah.
make
That
a
would be
comment?
super fun.
We went to the Coaldale thing, but you have to be careful what wood you put in, because
Yeah.
some trees decay faster. You have to check on the trees. If you get in contact with the Coaldale people, they'll let you know there was more things that they found out. Because some attract hornets, some, so there's
Yeah.
a few little things that you need
Yeah,
to
and
know
you certainly
before
need to
start.
treat it
Yeah,
the
you
right
need-
way,
and
and
you'd
like
have
they
to-
sand off the edges, so it's all very soft,
rough
and yeah,
edges.
you definitely have to treat it the correct way to have it be as safe as you would want it to be.
So just for your information, we have set aside $97,000 for park enhancement in 3 parks
Mhm.
right now. I'm just trying to fix them up, make them just better.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money right there going towards them. And then we have another park we hopefully will get started in one of the areas of town, the northwest areas of town
Mhm.
this year. So this wasn't one of the ones we were going to do right now, but we appreciate what you're trying to do and trying to help us there. It's something we can discuss further another time, but we appreciate the information you brought to us.
All right, well, thank you for
Very nice to meet
your time.
And if at some point in time you have like something very specific, like we could do this and how much what it costs.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So it's just not like, oh, yeah. we
Look
could
how great
do-
it would be.
Look how great it would be, but if you have something very specific,
Mm-hmm.
like if somebody looks into the tree thing and figures that all out and you say, hey, we could do this for $4,000 or whatever, I mean,
Right.
that would be very helpful because we're not
Right, the
doing any
more
research, we're not
specifics,
doing any
right.
research on it right
Be
now.
nice to
sure.
get a bill paying for that $97,000, and this concept of natural parks is new to me and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
nice.
I
Really nice.
really like the idea.
Is there a
Yeah,
way you
Cool
can,
Hills is
you
cool.
can leave those pictures with Abe? So we
Oh,
can
for
have
sure. Yeah, you can just take that
Can you
off of
copy
the
it?
USB.
So we can refer to that
Yeah, for sure.
another time.
What, because the park, like, enhancement thing you're doing, it doesn't say what you're doing to the southwest one or when you're gonna start. It just says over the next 4 years, so we were like, well, we could help, like, start doing things to help enhance it, but maybe you know more what your plan is. and-
If I
Yeah, it
remember-
was an information session for both sides, I suppose.
Right.
If I remember right, all 3 parks are getting an enhancement this year. Am I correct, Curtis?
Cause it says in between 2001 and
Yeah, so-
2005.
Yeah.
Depending on the park, there was gonna be focused on installing irrigation, tree wells, pruning the trees, adding picnic benches, a park shelter at the one that doesn't have any trees, bike racks, you know, that type of amenity. Because, you know, we have looked at having themed playgrounds with the natural concept that you've shown there. We've also looked at more of an American Ninja Warrior fitness type park for installation at some point, different than the traditional metal structures that have been there. But those, if you're doing them with, depending on the scale, like they said, I mean, you can put in an odd feature or two to keep it pretty cheap, but if you're putting them into the kind of the same scale, you're in that $150,000 range with all the other amenities. And the only other caution is, as was kind of mentioned, depending on what kind of materials are used, we have to make sure that they still pass safety codes in a sense, because as a municipality, we're liable for at a higher standard, I guess, than if it was done on private property. So that's just something we would have to monitor, but I think in general, it's a great presentation. Just for information, there's just under a quarter of an acre within that treed area. So you can, you know, definitely have a good sized little natural play place if that's the direction council decides to go. And we'd definitely be willing to work with any passionate people to kind of help to push this process forward, so.
For sure.
And that
Absolutely.
size limits the amount that you would spend there too. I mean, that's a good thing.
That's why I was saying, the size, you know, the size of the parcel of land, usually what you do, so.
Big consideration.
And we wouldn't really wanna, I mean, we do wanna kind of upgrade what's there, but we don't really wanna knock it down. My grandkids play there all the time. They think that's the greatest part in town. So-
Yeah, so I mean, just briefly, like, as an
Yeah.
example, the monkey bars, that's a hard place for, you know, younger kids to navigate. We discussed maybe you
yeah.
could have something like a rope
Sure.
bridge that goes under it,
Yeah.
catches the kids that are on the monkey bars,
Lots
and
of
then younger
things you
kids
could
can
do.
get across, just things like that. Replacing maybe the tires because they're pulled out anyways, the bolts in them.
Yeah.
And that's very hard I know because I've had to go across with my little toddlers and it's not easy. So that's a hard place for them to navigate. So just things like that,
Yeah.
little upgrades to that playground to make it a little more accessible.
And then if you could do some additions, like the
Yeah.
second logs, or, you know, whatever you could do.
Yeah, and I don't know if there's anything earmarked for like the beyond the trees in that area, but I mean, that's kind of what I'm talking about with the
Yeah.
potential, the expanse of it, that, you know, there could be fixtures throughout the walking trail.
For sure.
Sure.
All
That's
right,
very good.
thank you for your time.
Thanks
you.
Thanks for coming.
You are welcome. Oh, where's my
Okay,
mask?
so we'll move on to our council agenda. We have the minutes in front of us, 4.1. We need a motion to approve the council minutes.
I'll move.
Councillor Hagee makes that motion. Any discussion from these? Thank you two for coming.
Thank you.
So any business from these? They already have a motion, and if not, then I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Yes.
Okay, good. We also have need approval of the council committee minutes on March 9th.
I'll move the committee meetings to March 9th.
Councillor Harker moves that. Any discussion from these? I'll call for the vote, all in favor? Okay, good. Number 5, the financial report. The audit and finance committee went through the finances, a good hour and 20 minutes on Thursday night. Councillor Foss, you have any comments on this?
Not much, other than nothing appears to be amiss. It was a good report that we got from the folks who are carrying day to day with our finances, and yeah, no concerns.
Okay, we need a motion then to accept the financial report. Councillor Fromm makes that motion. All in favor? Good. Items for discussion, 6.1, this is bylaw 968-10, the care of boulevards and lanes. Mark, you want to talk on this?
Yeah, so last week in the committee meeting, I took you through our recommended changes for the care of boulevards and lanes bylaw. The 2 biggest points are just cleaning up the application for parking on the boulevard, which originally read must not exceed 20% of the total frontage of the home. And so with the recommended changes that we went through last week there, the biggest change would be that all boulevard parking would be discretion of the development officer in accordance with any applicable policy that is adopted and passed by bylaw, which could provide guidelines for establishing boulevard parking. And then secondly, that boulevard parking may also be granted as part of the development permit application or other approval that's authorized to do so. And in that case, then no boulevard parking form is required. So that would reduce some red tape there if we have a established authority that has approved a development permit, whether it be the MPC or council in a direct control district, for example. Any questions on it?
Does anyone have any questions for Mark? I think we understand this pretty good from last week.
Yep, I like it.
I like it too.
So we need a motion for first reading of bylaw 698-10. Councillor Heggie moves. Any discussion on this? If not, then I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Yes.
Okay, that's unanimous. So now we need second reading of bylaw 968-10.
I'll move second reading, 968-10.
That's Councillor Harker. Any discussion on this? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Good, that was unanimous. Now we need a motion to hold the third reading of bylaw 968-10. Someone want to make that motion?
Mayor?
Councillor Peters, you want to make it?
Yeah, I'll make that motion to hold third reading.
Okay, Councillor Peters, thank you. All in favor? Okay, now for the third reading bylaw 968-10. Someone make that motion.
I'll move third reading.
Councillor Harker makes that motion. Any discussion now? If not, then I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Okay, good. So now we're just gonna go straight into the public hearing. I want to remind you that a public hearing is for trying to get your questions out so you can understand and make the best decision that you can make on after we come out of the public hearing. You shouldn't be trying to tip your hat or announce which way you're swaying. You're just trying to gather information from the public hearing for bylaw 1095-21. So I'll call the public hearing to order. We want to welcome everyone here for that. We have Christy and Sue here. We have Bonnie. Is there anyone else attending that you know of, Curtis? Nothing on Zoom that's...
No one else, to my knowledge, except who's in the audience.
Okay, then I guess we turn the time to Mark on this one.
Yeah, for attendance too, I also reached out to Mark Evans, who attended virtually last week, and extended the same offer for him for the continuation of the public hearing this week. Just given the fact that he hasn't logged in at this point, probably safe to assume that it was done so on his decision.
Well, he said last week his questions were answered.
I think so, yeah. Yeah, but just to let you know that I did reach out with an email to him this afternoon, just to remind him, and send him a link for this meeting.
Good.
So yeah, just a little bit of a recap from last week there. Some of the points that were brought up were addressing the boulevard parking stuff there, and we did have that in our bylaws for that. So I believe that with the amendment to those bylaws, it gives the authority to look at this boulevard parking application and see if it makes sense for the area, given that we do have a 100-foot road allowance in this area, and that boulevard parking could be considered in this matter and accommodate the off-street parking requirements in the land use bylaw. We also had two other additional comments from private citizens that were added to our public hearing, written responses E and F. And we can go through those as we step through the process. Yeah, so if there's any other questions that you would kind of have on the actual bylaw, I think we've been through this the last week there, so I'm basically here to answer any questions that you guys might have on the actual particulars.
Anyone have any questions for Mark? Okay, then we'll move to 6.2.3. Bonnie. Bonnie Bruner, you're on mic. Yeah, there you go.
Sorry about that. Yeah, Mark pretty much indicated the issues that still needed to be resolved. I did want to just refresh your memory about the redesignation criterion and the things that need to be considered, which are in the attachment here. So compliance with any bylaw standards, consistency with the municipal development plan, compatibility, suitability, the availability of services, the cumulative impacts, and to the town as a whole, and also to any impacts to public roads and the supply of suitably designated land, and then any public comment that we received. And then just quickly with respect to the MDP, we do have policies that should be considered, and it does indicate that decisions regarding future land use and growth should be consistent with the concepts illustrated in the future land use and growth directions map. And so while the future land use map doesn't indicate this area for commercial use, there are allowances in the MDP that do indicate that there may be possibility for commercial activity in residential neighborhoods that is small scale and not significant in terms of its impact on the viability of the commercial core or the compatibility with the surrounding neighborhood. So based on the information we heard with respect to this application, council could find that reasonably met with respect to the MDP policies, given the maximum of 15 patrons internally and 6 on the patio at any one time. So that's just a quick overview of the policies to keep in mind when you are discussing the proposal and making a decision on the application.
Okay, good. Does anyone have any questions for our town planner, Bonnie Bruner? If not, well, thank you, Bonnie. And we'll move on, private citizens. Christy or Sue, either of you have any comments you wanna? No?
Where we were last time.
Okay. So I guess I just moved to 6.2.6, last call.
I would actually like to hear your response to one of the new pieces of public input with the AHS requirements saying that you have to have 2 kitchens. Are you guys aware of that?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
I've
was gonna
spoken
ask
to
about
her.
that too.
I have a whole checklist. I spent half an hour on the phone with her
weeks ago.
With the same
So
woman?
we have a room
With AHS.
upstairs
Okay,
that's going to be designated for it.
okay.
Yeah.
So you do have to have a separate kitchen,
Yes.
and it's
Yes.
taken care of?
Yes,
Good job, okay.
we were on that a while ago.
We figured that you'd be
I've been
compliant.
doing this a long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got it.
We figured you would know what to do.
Thank you.
So I'm glad you brought that up, because I did this last time too, but we need to go over these private citizens' responses. Mark, you said we were gonna talk about.
Yeah, if you haven't had a chance to review them, I think this is a good case just to kind of open these up, make sure that everyone's aware, especially of these two that kind of came after last week's hearing. Written responses A through D kind of came last week, and I'm more than welcome to go through those individually with you here, whatever you would prefer. But
Hopefully we've all looked at them.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to, I didn't bring it up last time, and except for Councillor Fogg's doing that, I would have passed by it again, so. If you think we need to look at them.
sure, let's quickly take a look at E and F. So written response E was just made after the public hearing, and the comment is basically just concerned that we hate to go through this whole process and then find out later on that we do have some sort of Alberta health hurdle that we have to go through that makes it uneconomical or disheartening to actually end up opening the fine dining restaurant. So this was probably just concerned, and with Christie's response there is that she actually has went and tested out the waters with the actual requirements that are provincially required.
If I may, I have a whole business plan written up, there's just not time to present it to everyone, so I know there's probably questions, but I'm happy to answer any of them. This side of it, I've got 20 years doing, so I'm Alberta Health Code, I'm not worried about.
Okay, and then written response F was a positive response from a individual that point was that given the location of the fine dining restaurant close to the Good Sam's, that it might be good for seniors to go out for an evening in this area. So this was a response that was positive for the fine dining restaurant.
Okay, good. Any questions on these from the responses from the private citizens from anybody? Okay. Then I guess we'll move to 6.2.6 now. That's the last call for comments or questions from anybody.
I do have one comment. I'm just sympathetic with anybody who says they don't want this in the neighborhood. You know, because I mean, some of the things were like, we didn't buy this house so that we could be across the street from a restaurant. I'm sympathetic to that.
Yeah.
I trust that this will not get out of hand.
No, I don't wanna do 300 covers a night anymore. We left the city because I want to go small scale and put detail into it. I have no desire to be a large operation. That burned me out, I don't wanna do it again. It's our home. I don't want it to feel like more than that. And I don't wanna disrupt the neighbors in any way and create that.
And I don't feel like they will. I tried to put myself in their position, like what if my neighbors across the street did the very same thing?
Yeah.
And I honestly can say that I don't think, you know, based on your business plan or what we've seen from your model, I don't think it's gonna be disruptive. So I'm not worried about that at all. There has been a restaurant attempted there in the past and it didn't work out. Will you still live there if you are going to, if it's not successful?
We've discussed what the option would be, and I'm not quite sure at this moment what it would be. I do want to operate a restaurant, so if it doesn't work, we would probably start again somewhere else. It's my entire career I'm putting on this right now.
And it's not going to be that.
It's not meant to like.
It's not going to be an abandoned restaurant. I mean,
No,
it's still going to be very livable.
We'd be more than happy to rezone it back to residential if/when we were to sell the house. If that's a concern, that's something.
That's my only concern, that it's not an abandoned restaurant when you leave it. If you leave it, I mean, we don't want to cross that bridge and hopefully never will.
And with the with the house being a historic, property, we're not making any changes to the house that are drastic. The house is protected. So even if it doesn't work, the house remains exactly the same as when we moved in, just with a fresh coat of paint and a better fridge. So,
Yeah,
That's-
that's what I was just gonna say, is that you take out her couple of tables, like there's only 3 tables in one room, 3 tables in the other, small tables. You take that out, you put couches in, it's a house.
And
It's,
you live there,
I-
except for the
it's-
parking in the front, you
yeah,
never
yeah,
know what was any
you just have a
change.
bigger space for it.
yeah.
In
That
reality,
raised my fears.
it's kind of like the Franz and Hickens having somebody over to eat. You know,
It is, really.
like seriously,
Except less noisy.
you know, like 20
Yeah, it's
people
less
is,
noisy.
it's probably way less than the Franz or the Hickens having
Yeah.
somebody over to eat.
Yeah.
So it's not a big
She
disruption.
said the
In the neighborhood, I don't see it as a big disruption. I just see it as a pleasant evening, you
That's
know,
my
just
hope.
like with friends,
Yeah.
only it's, you know, it's a business for you, but
I do too,
You know.
I just am cognizant of the fact
Yeah,
that some
I know
people
what
have written
you're
in
saying.
expressing concerns.
absolutely, I know what you're saying.
Councillor Peters.
Mayor, I had an individual who lives on that street, contact me on, it would have been Thursday, and asked some questions. Am I good to share that information or do I keep it to myself?
If you think it would be more appropriate before we have the second reading of bylaw 1095, that's what you would bring it up then.
She approached me with this development and, the individual, and, asked me a little bit more information on it. I said, well, there's a public hearing, you're welcome to come come to, do it. She wasn't gonna be available. Her concern was about the trucks and, the deliveries, and I shared some information that we learned at our public meeting, a couple weeks ago about we wouldn't have those big Cisco delivery trucks, and that appeased her, to where she didn't have any concerns.
And that's why I asked Mr. Evans last week, you know, I mean, how concerned are you? And I didn't get the impression that he had any vehement concerns. So I got the impression that he was fairly satisfied with the information that was presented, and that's how I feel too.
Okay, is there any other comments or questions? Last call, comments or questions then? Okay, then we adjourn the public hearing. Do I need a motion to adjourn it?
We were going through last time, so.
Okay, I need a motion to adjourn this public hearing then. Councillor Hagee moves to adjourn the public hearing. All in favor? Okay, we are now out of the public hearing. We're back in council meeting. So 6.3 is bylaw 1095-21. This is for the second reading of this bylaw 1095-21.
Third, because we've done second, right?
No, we've already done the first to get it to it. Now we have to do second and then we'll do third tonight also. So, we need a motion for the second reading.
Mayor.
Oh, sorry.
And are you making the motion, Councillor Foss, or you?
Yeah, happy to make the motion.
Okay, Councillor
For
Foss
second
makes that
reading.
motion. So there's a motion on the floor, so now we're talking any discussion anyone wants to bring up. One thing I think is good about this, it is on a wide street. The parking we know is gonna be on the boulevard, we've talked about that, we've changed for that, but it is on a wide street. I think the other thing too is, my way of thinking anyway, it is in the residential area, but it's been there before as a restaurant, this property. Councillor Peters?
Yeah, as I was reflecting about this application, I like the hours of operation, ending somewhat early to allow patrons to finish up and kind of get out before the noise bylaw kicks in, I think is a good idea. And it'll allow that area to maintain its residential feel, I think.
I think the other good thing is it's on direct control too, where if they don't abide to the restrictions or the limits they've been given, then they can be taken away from them just as fast as it started for them. So I think that's very important, it's on direct control.
And I feel compelled to make one other comment. I don't think that the parking area itself should look like a parking lot. You know, with garish yellow curbs and handicap signs and stuff like that. I like to see a little bit subtle, since it is residential.
So just pavement, and hopefully they'll make it for 6 cars to.
Yeah.
If I mark with pretty planters, would that be a?
Something natural would be really nice.
Because there's gonna be a green space between the sidewalk and the
Yeah.
parking lot, so I can do pretty planters or benches or.
That'd be nice.
Does anyone else have any questions for this or any comments before I call the vote? Okay, then I will call the vote for bylaw 1095-21 for the second reading. All in favor? It was unanimous. Okay, thank you. So now we'll move to the third reading of bylaw 1095-21. Want to make that motion?
I can move that.
Councillor Harker? Any discussion on this? I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Okay, you're set. Good luck on your business.
Thank you.
Can't wait to come and taste your wares.
I'm excited. I'll come pick up all the other applications tomorrow.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. 6.4, the 2021-2023 operating budget approval. So Curtis, go ahead.
So the attached document was what was presented to the Audit and Finance Committee, and it just goes over, we're legislatively required to pass a 3-year operating budget as well as a 5-year capital spending plan, which we'll talk about next. It shows your 2020 actuals, our 2021 revenue, expenditures, net cost as of now, year to date, and our anticipated budgeted net cost, and then also what we're anticipating the net cost to be for 2022 through 2024. Those are obviously subject to change. So these are based upon an extensive review of our spending patterns and what we are required to utilize for spending to run the community and the municipality and the different services that we provide. Just as a note, there has been a significant reduction in expenditures through council efforts to ensure quality and effective use of the tax dollars, and so we're pretty confident that we have as lean of an operation and organization as we can possibly have at this present time, while still providing the services at the same level that we have historically been doing. And I'd like to give just a shout out and credit to the staff for being able to make that possible. So if you have any questions, we can answer them. Otherwise, we're just looking for a motion to accept the 2021 through 2023 operating budget as presented.
Okay, thank you, Curtis. We have this operating budget as presented by Curtis. A lot of work, like he says, been put into it, and it's subject to change. We don't know exactly what we're getting, how things will work, but that's what it's at right now. Anyone have any questions? We need a motion. Oh, Councillor Capito, sorry.
No, I'll make the motion to move the 2021 operations budget.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Any discussion on this?
Plan.
What's that?
It's a good plan, as good as we can come up with.
Yeah. I'll call for the vote then. All in favor? Okay, good. 6.5, the capital spending plan. Go ahead, Curtis.
Yeah, so as discussed, there's a 5-year capital spending plan that we're legislatively required to pass through some extensive discussions, council, their strategic planning sessions for the term, but also for this year, kind of identified after the different departments made their presentations, as well as some of the council priorities that you have set as for your term. And so we're just in the process of bringing this to your approval for approval of the different capital spending. If you have any questions based upon the discussion, once we get it on the screen,
Yeah.
Abe, try and hit control, then scroll down on your mouse scroll.
Okay.
The other way.
Welcome, Marty.
Hi.
So you're watching from home to know when to come.
I was watching all along, yes.
Such riveting excellence.
Love you took the words, wow.
No idea what happened. It's okay.
I was watching and there was nothing on the screen, but I could hear everything, like everything was black.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and Greg,
That's weird.
then Greg must have fixed it or something, but.
Oh, well, good.
I think it was just the Microsoft PowerPoint delegation.
Oh, had some issues or something.
Had some issues with the interface, so people online can
Yeah,
Thanks, Mark, for your good work on
to
that.
just restart the computer. Isn't that what you usually do?
Yeah, but we're live streaming, so we'll have to stop the live stream. So technical difficulties, the live stream
Yeah.
come back on.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can take a break, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Are we off the air?
Hold on.